the best bet to put the money in the bag. All right. So I gave it some thought, right? Because this means basically you're going through non-conference schedules and you're looking at who is playing an FCS or a Group of 5 opponent that might be considered beneath them. You know, here on the number one ranked show, we don't really like the pay games. Go play somebody. And if you have my 16-team playoff, it doesn't hurt you in the rankings because, hey, you'll get in because you deserve to be in. However, we do enjoy when our FCS, our Group of 5 teams, goes and gets the W. We also enjoy our Group of 5 teams running the table on folks. You will know, going back to 2021, one of the darlings of this show, Texas San Antonio, UTSA, the Road Runners, who, by the way, Brett Bielema went out of his way to say, like, yeah, we dropped the game to a UTSA team. I'm like, hey, that's a good football team you dropped the game to. You also put the money in the bag. I think they're up again. You know why? Because they get Texas this year. Yeah, the Texas that I picked. All right, let me walk this out. They returned Frank Harris at quarterback, who feels like he's been playing at UTSA since they started the program in 2011. They got Zachariah back at wide receiver. He caught something like 81 balls last year. They got Brendan Brady taking over for the All-American in Sincere McCormick at tailback. They keep a lid on the defense. They're going to be pretty good through the middle. I love what Jeff Traylor has built down in San Antonio and the way they're keeping it in. Now, what's really cool about this is that about 2019, I think it was, 2019 and 2017, athletic director Lisa Campos signed a deal with Texas. They're going to play 5 times over the next decade. This is the first of those 5. The guarantee is $1 million. So I can absolutely see a Road Runner program showing up to the 40 acres somewhere around the Alabama game just after beating the hell out of ULM, handing Texas its head. Maybe not handing Texas its head, but certainly getting the W. Because it's a good football team that you will overlook. It's a good football team made of Texas players and Texas assistants. Jeff Traylor goes out of his way to be like, no. I'm a product of Texas high school football. Okay? The Texas High School Football Coaches Association is near and dear to his heart. He wears the hat out. Okay? That is the kind of constituency it is. He hired a bunch of those dudes. They went out there and did the doggone thing in 2021. So much so that I'm catching shrapnel, catching hell for ranking them highly. It's not, RJ, it's not that you rank them highly, it's that you rank them ahead of Alabama, who lost to A&M. What do I got to do here to get across to you that winning should matter? Now, not to get too far out into the weeds or ahead of myself, but I'm going to just give you the rankings that you like because this is the college football we have and not the college football I want. But I'm not going to let slide. You lost to unranked A&M when I got somebody else over here who's won every single game. You cannot lose to Oregon at home and expect me to respect that. You can't. Why? My goodness, man. Everybody wants to talk about the scoreboard matter until the scoreboard goes a different way. I ought to say, I think that UTSA is going to put the shimmy in the shag. Texas, you are on watch to put the money in the bag. Ain't like y'all ain't got it, man. Y'all like one of the wealthiest college football programs, athletic programs in all of the country. I mean, I think they're going over $250 million in revenue this year. Like, that's what? Man, just go ahead and throw them this money. But if you throw them this money and you throw them the W, we going to talk about you. We going to talk about you loudly. It's going to be live right here and direct, right here on the number one ranked show. I'm looking forward to that game. All right. Players who I believe will have a breakout year. Identify 3. 3 of them, right? 3 of them. First, what I think is relatively obvious for those of us that have been paying attention to Big 12, Blake Shapen, okay? The man they call Shay, or Shape, depending on who you want to talk to. Dylan Doyle, Bryson Jackson, 2 linebackers. They really love what he has displayed. This is a man who signed up to play not just football, but baseball at Baylor, coming out of Evangel Christian. He can sling it, and he's accurate. I think you give him enough opportunities, you give him a potent run game, he's going to be all right. Now, it's an open question as to what the run game is going to look like, because Abram Smith and his 1,600 yards are New Orleans Saints. Treston Ebner, I believe, is a Chicago Bear. You're going to need to replace that. R.J. Sneed, he transferred from Baylor to Colorado. We'll just see how it goes, right? Next player that I believe is going to have a breakout year, also relatively obvious, Quinn Ewers, Texas. Now, I know that Steve Sarkisian has not named him the quarterback, but I also told you about Casey Thompson when he went ahead and named Hudson Card. I ended up being right. But when you look at what this man can do with a football, which is sling it all over the yard, and you know that Ohio State was not only willing to accept his commitment, but allow him to reclassify early to get up there, and then you find out that he's from South Lake Carroll, which is down the street, and as far as we're talking about national geography, and he's playing football at the place where everybody thought he should be playing football to begin with, that's enough. I will add to that. They added weapons for him. It's not just that you got Bijan Robinson, who's a Heisman candidate, 7.5 yards deep. It's that you got Xavier Worthy on one side. You got Isaiah Nair on the other side. You got Jaleel Billingsley, who I also nearly put on this list, breaking out at tight end. They ought to be outstanding at skill positions. If they're even adequate on the offensive line, I think Quinn Ewers is going to have a breakout year. Last player that I want to mention here, players who I think are going to have a breakout year, Oklahoma safety Billy Bowman. Okay. This one a little in the weeds because my man Bowman started out as safety, played well, then he had to move to corner because they got hurt, and he got exposed. It's not a good look. But Billy was once committed to Texas, flipped his commitment to Oklahoma. He's put on a lot of weight. Like he's put on that Robert Barnes weight over the summer, just cock diesel like that. But also, this is a man who we thought might be going both ways when he first got to Oklahoma, playing wide receiver, playing some safety. When I talked to him right here on the Number One Ranked show, you can go dig through the YouTube archives to listen to that interview. He's like, yeah, I think I'm more like a Christian McCaffrey. I can do everything. I can be in the backfield. I just line up in the slot, and I want to do everything. Then he got to Oklahoma and said, you playing defense. And I said, no! I want to see him with the ball in his hands. And they're like, yeah, he's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to play special teams. Now, we can say a lot of good things about Lincoln Riley, and we will. But one of them is not going to be about special teams. I can take it back to 2017, watching the Rose Bowl, being up 17, and then you decide to squib kick to Georgia, who goes down there and gets. I'm not gonna rehash it because I don't want to cry here in front of y'all. I do enough of that already. But also, Lincoln Riley does a risk assessment when it's talking about kickoffs and punt returns, or kick return and punt returns. We're not gonna do it unless you really got to have a great return. It's just not gonna do it. Doesn't see the juice worth the squeeze. So you see CeeDee Lamb back there, fair catching balls. CeeDee Lamb, who once juked 4 Texas football players in one play. CeeDee Lamb, who might be the most physical wide receiver to play in Dallas since Michael Irvin. And where's the vaunted 88? What do we do with all of that? Hey, man, fair catch. We're not fair catching no more, okay? We are returning kicks. We are returning punts. We're trying to go get field position and go get an easy 6. Billy Bowman's going to have an opportunity to do that, baby. We're going to get to see the man who was electric in high school, returning kicks, returning punts. Absolutely get after it. Go back to his one position playing safety, and I trust Brent Venables to develop this man into an outstanding defensive back, and then maybe down the line, we get a little R.W. McQuarters, okay? We get a little Andre Woolfolk, okay? We get a little Antonio Perkins if you are of the special teams variety and you go back that far. I'm excited to see what Billy Bowman is capable of in the Brent Venables era. Okay. How many teams can compete for the college football playoff? This is one live and direct from a man's Tyler Wojak, lead producing the show. It really comes down to 4 teams, if we're being honest about this, okay? And you know the 4 teams. I'm not going to bore you with, why you know those 4 teams, but Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Texas, Baylor. Why? Show me somebody else playing the college football playoff that has played the Big 12 championship in the last 4 years. You're going to go back 5 and go to Texas Christian if you want to, but that's with Gary Patterson being head coach. We're really going to be talking about Dave Aranda. We're really going to be talking about Steve Sarkisian and or Tom Herman. We're really going to be talking about Mike Gundy, Lincoln Riley, and then can Brent Venables do it? Yes, Brent Venables has done it before, so he can do it again. As an assistant, not as a head coach. Oklahoma has the personnel, right, the sheer talent to get to the Big 12 championship. We've seen Oklahoma State and Baylor do more with less because they've had outstanding defensive play, right? You found something really, really cool in Jim Knowles, and then Ohio State said, hey, let us hold that right quick. Let us hold it. What you going to do with all of that? You're not playing in no college football playoff. Give us that right quick. Give us that. That's what happens, right? And Mike Gundy's getting used to this. This is a man who once got tired of the turnover with his offensive coordinator, so he went and got to do that at Shippensburg, only to lose him to Texas, Ohio State, and now Penn State. Mike Yurcich. It's going to happen like that if you are Oklahoma State. But they can get back there. They can get there for the first time. Baylor can get there for the first time, even though they probably should have been there years ago. Baylor fans understand. Texas Christian fans understand. Texas is the one that I'm probably going to catch the most hell for because All Texas has done is shown up to the Big 12 championship to get ran by Oklahoma here in the last 5 to 7. It's never been a matter of whether or not Texas has talent. That's why we are always caping for Texas. Why I look at the roster and I get giddy. I get absolutely giddy because they got dudes. It's can you put all these dudes together and form a winning football team? And I don't have too many friends that are Longhorn fans for obvious reasons, but the little ones that I do have, first, I'll remind them that the Eyes of Texas is still their fight song, and I will never get past that. I also will add, nobody does more with less. Change that up in 2022. Change that up, and you win the Big 12 championship. You go to college football playoff, which leads me to our last segment on today's show. Who will play and win in the Big 12 championship? Shocker for me here, guys. Oklahoma and Texas. That's who I'm choosing, okay? I love what Oklahoma has offensively and defensively. I think they're balanced. I think Texas ought to be putting up 50 a game with the offensive talent they have, the skill position. It's about can Pete Kwiatkowski give them a competent defense? That's the open question. I think DeMarvion Overshown leading them in the linebacking core, 6-year senior coming out of Art, Texas, who wore his, not his Stetson, but his throwaway Cowboy hat to see me at Big 12 Media Days. I love me some DeMarvion Overshown. That dude is cool, right? I gets with it because when you're authentic with it, it hits kind of different. They got some outstanding players on the defensive line. If Keandre Coburn can hold up, be that dude in the middle, I think they got an opportunity to keep the lid on and keep people out of their end zone, not giving up 50-plus to Kansas. Can't give up 50-plus to Kansas and expect to compete and win for the Big 12 championship, although you put up 70 on Texas Tech. And Texas Tech remembers. Like, I talked to them Red Raiders, man. Miles Bryce, Tyree Wilson, they are fired up. They want every bit of Texas. Flagship university, right? Everybody wants a piece of Texas. I think Oklahoma wins that game basically because if anybody could put the lid on what I think is a vaunted Texas offense, it's going to be Brent Venables. You know how I know? You know why I know? Because he did it all the time against Oklahoma at Clemson. The Sweatpants Bowl. Y'all remember the Sweatpants Bowl? I remember the Sweatpants Bowl. Sweatpants Bowl was awful for your boy. Okay? It's not that Oklahoma lost 40-6. It's not that Trevor Knight was held to 103 passing yards. It's that your man was also unceremoniously kicked out the door out of his first full-time gig following the loss in the Sweatpants Bowl. Just not a good year for your man. Like I kind of want to put 2014 in a blender somewhere. But that was also Brent Venables saying, oh, no, I know how to do this. And what they do in 2015, and what they do in 2016, 2017, 2018. You get what I'm saying here? His defense is the reason that they have been great. His defense is the reason that they were able to win national championships. Why you could talk about Trevor Lawrence being great. And that other dude we're not going to mention on the show. But if he could do that against Lincoln Riley, he ought to be able to do that against Steve Sarkisian. Certainly did it against Alabama. Or did y'all forget the 15th and final game of that magical 2018 season for Clemson? I'm saying Brent Venables got 3 national championships. Twice, 2 at Clemson. 3 times as many as Oklahoma's won since 2000. All I'm asking for is 1, dog. I'm just looking for 1. I ain't won no national championship since I was 13 years old, Brent. You understand? I'm saying I got mustard seed faith, but I need to see the Tides paying me back. Okay, I'm kicking in. I'm asking for a little bit. It's been 22 years. I'd like to see a Big 12 championship. I'd like to see a win in the college football playoff. How about that? A win. And then I would like to see a national championship won. That's all I'm asking for. That's it. That's all. Thanks for watching this video. And remember, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos on the #1 ranked show YouTube channel.